Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to your reading. Today, I finally got my computer fixed. I mean, it hasn't been broken, but the fan's been really messed up and yeah, it's just really, I mean, I guess I haven't really fully tested it, but they said it's good. So pretty stoked about that. Not hearing this like just crazy grumbling noise from my computer. So let's pull everything up. Decide between two charts by three. Interesting. Richard. Yep. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Pull this up. Skyrim. Gemini or Virgo. Okay, we're gonna do this one. Big day for me. Adopted the two, or well, I don't know for sure, but I mean, me saying bye to these two amazing cats, God-given cats. Good luck. Um, they're so cute. Got them in the vet, so they're in there. They have their own little bedroom, and yeah. So let's just do this one. I feel good about this one. Vega Rising, nice. Okay, I need to hide the name actually. Yeah, I don't want to be. I like to kind of enter a meditative trance when I do these. All right, so what do we have here? Closer to the mic. This is possible. So, so you have a very powerful star rising, Vega. So we'll get into that way, way later. But why is the music playing? But yeah, so you're a Leo. So Saturn ruled chart, ninth house Saturn with the North Node. Interesting. Very interesting. So right off the bat, right? And I need to pull Mika, not right now. Not right now. No, no, no. See the squares. 10 mutable, 10 mutable. No, no, no. Um, Neptune. Why doesn't it show it? Okay. So, okay, I have a very, very clear understanding, I think, even from just the first minute or so of looking at this. So I remember what I said in your last reading, by the way. A lot will not change, but you know, you want to have everything as close to possible, especially if you're going to do astrophotography. If your birth time is off even a little bit for astrophotography, it screws everything up. Same with like current astrology, just and the houses and stuff like that. Like it can make massive issues. But it'll be interesting. So the vibe I get, Mika, stop, not right now. The vibe I get, right? I see this all over the chart, is that in this lifetime you are here to, well, there's a lot, right? So, your soul is a very, very, a very free soul. Um, the thing that you're trying to kind of get right in this lifetime is more around grounding like you're already very, very good with the metaphysical, kind of mixing that with, like kind of the mix of the physical and the metaphysical. Like that is totally working for you. Like, um, everything in life is really a balance of those two at the end of the day. And the metaphysical for you is something that's come very easy in past lives with your South Node in Pisces. Pisces, obviously, it's the most spiritual sign. It's the last sign. It's a sign of enlightenment, of completion, but it's also a sign of self-delusion. So I can see like right off the bat that your gifts, your greatest gifts, like in life, we're here to find meaning, right? We're here to ultimately understand a sense of ultimate meaning in our lives. If we don't have any meaning, we're nihilists, and it just kind of like there's some quote that's like the something life is not worth living, like the unanalyzed, I forget the word they used. And so when we talk about Neptune squaring your South Node in Pisces, right? Neptune rules your South Node and it squares it. The South Node ruler, Mika, stop where you're out. Mika, stop. Go up here. 1 second. Sorry. Mika is being a not bad, just really bad time. She had so much opportunity. So when the South Node ruler, right, Neptune, is squaring the South Node, we know that it's not double trouble, but that there's something really, really big around. And I want to do another sound check because I'm paranoid. I did a reading the other day that was just like um me at the top of my game, and like I had to test, even from this far away. Let me increase the gain for the volume. Okay. Now, so now let's see if it gets to the sixth level. If I go over here, this is probably what it would be. And then if I talk this close to it, how does it sound? Hmm. Let's try like this. Sorry, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes. Like I've just been. Okay. Check, 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 check. Wait. So yeah, basically. Okay, perfect. Um, basically there's something in the karmic past that has sort of pushed you away from it, like I would call it loss of meaning, and it's it's not a surprise that you're a Leo in this lifetime, that you have Gemini Mars, that you have all these very explorative and you have Uranus on the midheaven, um, Pluto on your moon, because you're really, really meant to really, really go deep. But the thing with that all is that your North Node in astrology represents your highest destiny, right? It's like kind of the mountain never climbed in past lives, per se, metaphorically. And it's in Virgo, so you're really, really trying to get yourself, like, you could have been the person who had all of like these amazing ideas, these amazing healing powers, creativity, whatever it is. But there was some, loss of meaning, potentially some conditioning around disillusionment on a spiritual level. Something it could have been like depression, addiction, some form of escapism, where a trauma kind of pushed you to not really look at things, right? So oftentimes people with this, there's like, I imagine you in past incarnations, or a past incarnation is like a very idealistic person who had your dreams shut down. Maybe it's the society you lived in, maybe it's your parents. And um hmm, yeah, so it just leads to kind of like a loss of like kind of just like going in cycles, and loss of life force and all that. Um Disassociation even. So here it's really about getting real, like, once again, like objective reality, the like, for example, let's say like you're a very talented musician and that's your passion, or you have ideas for films, or I don't know. There could have been a tendency to be like, oh, fuck it, it doesn't matter anyways. So you're searching for answers. Um but you're also really searching for legitimacy and for consistency and for like the just do it energy, right? Saturn's on your North Node. So you're here to learn responsibility. Your North Node's in Virgo with Saturn. So it's almost like a Capricorn slash Saturn, or slash Virgo, right? Which are two very responsible, mature signs. Um, Southland and Pisces, like, you can kind of get the idea of someone who maybe didn't have like the right routine or balance in their life. And yeah, it's a difficulty to clarify the difference between like fantasy and reality, right? Um and spiritual crisis is common. And yeah, just someone who's kind of lost their spiritual way. and they're trying to refine it in this lifetime, and it goes to those meaningless cycles in life, right? Whether, like I said, like whether it's addiction or any kind of escapism, taking down other people, whatever, right? In rare cases, this is like, Neptune squared the nodes could be someone who has to like who has I don't want to scare you, but it's very rare cases, but someone who has some type of psychic attack, um, like possession type, like astral forces, like things that they really need to like kind of energetically clear. But overall, like sometimes like the energy can be like a form of like of helplessness, like um and really you're here to learn about self accountability and being your own metaphoric father, right? That's one of the lessons. um you know Aside from that, it's not about kicking away your South Node in Pisces, right? That's not like that is your past life mystic. That is your your magic, right? But imagine the magical human in this current time, right? Just imagine this. Imagine this human that exists, who definitely exists. They are so magic. Um, but because of their family, where they grew up, how they grew up, what they believed, some misstep, they weren't able to fulfill their spiritual, maybe hanging out with the wrong crowd, people influencing them, right? So with the North Node in Virgo, it's about, it is still about spirituality. It is still about service, but we add on the extra bit that Virgo is an earth sign, and it's about doing. It's about the step-by-step basis, steps or step-by-step process that it takes to get to any type of goal. You can be the most creative person in the world. Um, but if the discipline and the self-belief and the consistency isn't there, now I want to make very, very clear that I don't mean this as like a perfectionist American, like, give your whole life, like nothing else matters type of energy that some people have. Like, in the end, people who are like that, um, they often care more about how they appear to other people's, um, that don't actually matter to them, than their true happiness, right? Their true contentment in life, right? And the more you fill up your ego, you get to a point where, um, nothing satisfies you, and you realize the limitations of the material world. Sorry, I'm just having a little bit of my juicy juice. It's actually kombucha, but whatever. Um, so so hmm. So yeah, going back to kind of this concept, right? Like trying to this chart is very evolutionary. It's very deep. Um, I get the clues of someone who, like I was saying, like it's the person in today's world who has all like I had a really good friend who died. He was a heroin addict. He had a kid. He's one of my favorite people I ever met. Um, it was really tragic. It is tragic. And just the potential that he had, like it was just crazy. Like great heart, all that stuff. And I think that he's a perfect example of someone who, just couldn't get it together, like on some level maybe lost his spiritual way. Um, of course, a belly joke like that and the overdose, and yeah. But you know, when we put this all together, right? Um, with the Leo, eighth house Leo, right? You're here to transform. You're not here to be like everyone else. And in fact, being like everyone else is probably the worst thing you can do. So the Pisces South Node, it's really the mantra of like, one foot in the physical, one foot in the metaphysical, not just going because like Saturn on your North Node, it's like I always say, it's like it's time to be your own metaphoric father. It's time to really, really get real, not like overly rely on other people, like no one's gonna save you but yourself type energy, right? Not that you need saving, I'm just saying that as an example. And in Virgo, and it's in the ninth house, that the themes there could be around higher learning. And it could speak to how in past incarnations, just blindly believing what other people said, um, and their beliefs and kind of sticking on to those could have gotten you into some trouble. So North Node in the ninth house is someone who's meant to travel physically or metaphorically, or both, whatever, is working for you. And ninth house is about taking all the little data pieces that you collect that you're meant to collect, right? The little conversations here and there, learning this, learning that, not being too much of a jack of all trades, right? It's like it's good to really explore a lot. It's really about a lot of trial and error, but at the end of the day, it's about finding the things that you really care about and breaking that past life streak of meaninglessness and where you lost your spiritual way due to this karmic push towards the questions of, who are we, where are we from, where are we going, what are we doing here, what's the purpose of life, these types of deep questions, right? Like that's really what it is. um mm, a lot of like astrologers and very, 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 very deep healers, which a lot of people start their healing journey very late in life. It's not the same for everyone. Became an acupuncturist after she divorced my father, which she must have been, let me think for a second, she must have been 40, 42, 43. So we all have different periods of time where we're meant to do different things, right? Um, but yeah, I think that the typical spiritual person is meant to go through a lot of BS, and it's just written in the stars for them. So if you're someone like, just imagine, right? Someone who has all this like talent, but for whatever reason, a lot of times South Node and Pisces could be around shame, right? There can be a level of shame, and because it's square Neptune, there could be a lot of identity crises that happen in past lives where you didn't see yourself clearly. Is difficult for you to see yourself in a realistic way. And in this life, through service, right? Because that's North Node in Virgo. And when I say this, like, I'm not saying, I mean, there's not enough charity jobs or, anything like that to make every North Node Aquarius and North Nodes in Virgo and all that, But if you're able to be of service, and that can be in many different ways. I always like to bring up the therapist, um, kind of coach, working with people. That's one of the best ways, right? And you have a lot of gifts in this area, right? Of understanding other people's unconscious, the collective unconscious, kind of the undertone of society. Um, but yeah, so really at the end of the day, it is about um and a lot of people with this kind of placement, they might not have had the most supportive. Now, I don't see this. I see very good aspects, actually. I mean, your moon is with Pluto, so that could speak to a mother that was, quite dominant, or maybe very controlling. But with the sun, I don't see anything quite difficult. And I'm not saying that the parents are messed up, but um, even like, to parallel this even more, your Chiron, which is your pain, is in Pisces, right? Oh wait, no, I'm tripping. It's in Taurus. I was thinking about a different chart that I was going to do, but I decided to do yours instead. Two ahead. That's something else we'll get into later. But there's all this talk about seeing yourself clearly. And one of the best ways to do that is when you're able to really offer true value. So, a whole different part of your chart is the Leo. So, me, as you know, a self-taught karmic astrologer who has my own unique philosophies on why things are the way they are, and I see things that other astrologers don't see. I'm not being arrogant, it's just the truth. Um, I asked myself, I'm not saying no one's ever thought of this, but I really do ask myself, why, when I see all this Leo, why does this person have all this Leo? You know, why is there the Venus at 0 degrees? Why is there the Sun at 7? Why is there the Mercury retrograde at 8? Why is there Jupiter, right? That's 4 planets in Leo in the eighth house. Because I think of everything as karma on a karmic level. And I think that the essence of Leo is the inner child, right? The essence of Leo is it's really like being able to, like, completely let go and be yourself, right? So there's this psychological split, right? Where there's two aspects of your being that are very different, and that you have to kind of figure out how to make them work. Obviously your moon is Libra, your sun is Leo. Those are working very well together. They're two signs away, so they have a healthy relationship, Libra and Leo. But on your nodal journey, right, your destiny journey, you're supposed to be very responsible, right? Because you've lacked that, and it's really through that responsibility that and that consistency in your life, right? Whether it's your routine, whether it's your work, whether whatever it is, it's really that ends up being the biggest thing. right? It's really that ends up being the thing that changes everything. Um, so I think that that's one aspect, but the clearer you can get, like back to like the service and like the higher ideals, like higher truth, the more like when you actually connect, like when you expand your idea of what truth is, right? Of like what the purpose of life is, it's going to affect what you decide is worthy of your time for your dharma, for your work, for your like how you want to spend time, right? Someone who thinks that everything is all about money is going to be a lot different than someone who thinks everything is all about helping people. So I digress. Um, so with the Leo, so I'm outlining this very you know, this part of you. So this is going to be beautiful. So someone who's lost their spiritual way, what better way to regain that than the highest energy of Leo, which is the inner child and letting go and laughing and having fun and finding your passions. No other sign is better at that than Leo, right? I believe, no one taught me this, but I believe that we have our sun sign and at least our sun sign for a very specific reason. Do I think that that is like the sign of our soul? No, I do not. But I think that you being a Leo in this lifetime represents your journey towards individualization and towards getting to know yourself better because of that past life fog, right? Because of that kind of confusion around identity. Um, the best way you can find that is through selfless service and also creativity, you know? And it's not just about like drawing a painting. It's about really, really hitting that flow state, right? Where you're not trying to impress anyone. You surround yourself with people who love you for who you are, right? You don't have to act any kind of way. And it's just the way it is. So back to my question, why would someone have so much Leo? Let's take it a step further. Well, it falls in the eighth house. The eighth house is the house of Scorpio. It's a house of death, rebirth, transformation. Um, Now in Placidus, a lot of it would fall in the seventh house at the end of it, which is more about relationships, partnerships, and whatnot. But overall, you're here to transform. You're here to let go of I don't want to call it stubborn, but just ways of existing that just were not serving your greater good. Does that make sense? So that is kind of where we're at, right? That's where we're at. And yeah, it's not easy being eighth house sun. Trust me, I am one as well, because it can be very, very awkward, especially if you like live where you grew up, because you look at your life and you go through these massive changes that you might look at, it might be like, this is just an example, a metaphor, kind of metaphoric example. Like it could be very difficult to connect to people that maybe you grew up with who haven't really changed that much because you changed a lot. And maybe change isn't the right word. I mean, it is maybe evolve, right? You evolve like a Pokemon and newer versions of yourself. And with the Pisces South node, it can bring up the idea of boundaries, right? And with Saturn on your North node, that's another very important karmic lesson for you is learning boundaries, right? Learning, okay, like if this person is no longer good for me, why am I wasting my time? Right? Which can be hard for Pisces South node. But really this Leo energy is taking you to the more taboo, esoteric, metaphysical, like you're interested in everything that is hidden, it's hidden. And you could have talents also with Venus in the eighth house that, like, I know people with Venus in the eighth house that are excellent singers, but they kind of are shy about it and kind of keep it under wraps. So there could be stuff like that. Um, then what's really interesting also is that your chart's ruled by Saturn, right? So if I had to take a guess, I would say that it was probably around your Saturn return, 30, 31, that you really, really started to open up to. I could be wrong about this, but like a lot of times ninth house Saturns have trouble. It really depends on the indoctrination, actually. Like if you're raised really religious, right? It's different than if you're raised like very like free bohemian kind of energy. But it's very clear to me that with Uranus on your midheaven, like that's a very rare placement. And you're here for a very, very special mission. I'm not just saying that. And it a lot of times people who have that, it takes them long periods of time to figure out what that, to really figure that out, to figure out what that is. Lots of trial and error, as I said before. And that's what, Leo is able to kind of go through life, make people happy, make people smile, have fun, let loose a little bit, not take things overly serious. You have your Capricorn rising, so even if you like have a little too much fun, you're always going to be organized, you're always going to be success driven. And that's very important because Capricorn, like I said, it's ruling Saturn. So Saturn's the ruling planet of your chart because Saturn rules Capricorn, and that's on your north node. So you are, despite with all the fun, with all the parts of you that like for example, your Mars in Gemini, right? That's not like, yeah, it's very intellectual, but it's not it kind of creates someone who can use their words for their weapons. It's how I always like to say it. They're just like super sharp, great lawyers, like not someone you want to get in an argument with. Their wordsmiths. But it kind of goes well, it goes well with the Leo and the Libra, right? These are very social, free-flowing energies, right? So there's a big purpose in your life where you're meant to be. You're meant to really experience a lot socially. But then with your 12th house Neptune, you also feel things so intensely. Let me take a look at some. yeah, you feel things very intensely. So, it's just really, really important to have alone time because, like, alone time for you can be something very, very special. Uh, I'm not saying all the time, like, be a loner. I mean, maybe. You know, that, it's good to have friends. Um, but you might find that, a lot of your deepest insights come when you're just alone and there's just space, you know? And, I think humans need to be better at thinking outside the box. I think that humans, when we are collectively more advanced, we'll look back and be like, wow, like it was so crazy. If this part of history is even recorded, we'll look back and be like, wow, it's so crazy that we just did like we gave our whole lives uh to just be like everyone else. Like what the fuck. Um, but yeah, like I think that like for example, like the Libra moon, right? I like to bounce around, by the way. I like to kind of like bounce around and give a little taste and come back to things. Like the Libra moon with Pluto is it's very intense. Um Libra moons by themselves, you're not a typical Libra moon. You're like a Libra slash Scorpio moon. Because Pluto is Scorpio and it totally just drop my crystal. It totally echoes your eighth house energy, right? Where it's like there's this lightness, right? There's this lightness, the Libra, the lightness, the Leo, but then it's in but then there's this real intensity and darkness. And dark, I don't mean bad, I just mean like probing deep and wanting to like not wanting to be like surface level, right? So there's like the ability to like have like let's say like small talk, but then it would be someone who wants to go deeper, right? Um, so Pluto on your moon, you are someone who a lot of times feel with that, like I said, like the mother could have been like very dominant and forthright, and this is how it is, controlling, blah blah blah. But also, it makes it usually makes someone have to grow up really, really early. Now, a Libra moon, the struggle there is that Libra moons don't like to make other people disappointed, right? They can be people pleasers. And they're not always people pleasers, but like the whole thing with Leo Moon is about it's all about balancing the energy, right? So like they have an emotional need for peace, for balance. So sometimes they'll put themselves down. And because it's an air moon, they might not feel emotions as deeply. But now that Pluto's on it, it creates this real depth, right? So you might meet another Libra moon that's very emotionally aloof while you're, you know, very, very intense, emotionally. And hmm, I want to say this. Yeah, like Pluto on the moon, a lot of times there's like some kind of matriarchal something in the bloodline, on the female side that it's almost like a curse or something that has to be broken in order for the family to really move forward. Um, and to kind of like, yeah, like kind of get out of that, yeah, get out of, I guess you could say, like, any type of just continuous karmic cycle that can run in a family. And it can feel like a lot of weight, and it can really make someone feel like they have to really grow up earlier than they maybe felt like, other people had to. Um, but I see this with so many clients, right? Pluto Moon, like so many. And there's a reason, because these are people who are meant to, it's like the fast track in life, it's like the school of hard knocks. You learn the stuff early, it sucks, blah, blah, blah. But then earlier in your adult life, because of you know, a lot of times with Pluto and the moon, there is a level of difficulty that the person goes through. They're able to be of assistance. They're able to be great listeners. They're able to be great healers. Um, which maybe wouldn't happen if everything was all rosy and all merry. Pluto moon people, their emotions can really, really swing. Um, they can have this very, very interesting repulsive, like they can be like very repulsed by certain individuals while also very, very like intensely attracted to others. I'm not just talking about love, like relationships. Um, and there can be this theme of power, powerlessness, and this is the most maybe one of the most important things I'm going to say is for reading is anyone with Pluto like this in their charts, right? They at some point um have to, they make a decision of what power represents to them. The low vibration is someone who thinks power is external, all that stuff, right? Money, blah, blah, blah. Money, power, dominating other people. And it comes from, that pain that they weren't able to overcome. They weren't able to go through the death, rebirth, transformation, the snake, shame, skin. I know those three words sound easier. They sound a lot easier than they are, right? It's a lifelong process. It gets a lot easier with age when you're doing the actual work. But real power is found within, right? And that's not to sound cheesy. Real power is found within, and um, people who understand this, who have this Pluto, it's like they have this dense ball of energy that they can turn to at any time, and they've been through a lot, and nothing really freaks them out. Like they always know that no matter how hard it gets, because after Saturn return, things get easier usually, right? Um, unless you have like some crazy transits, which okay, you already have the current astrology, so we can look at that when we book that. But um, yeah, like I think that yeah, most people's lives are easier after the Saturn return, and um just the idea of um of Pluto is forced transformation, or you know when you're old, like really, really regret a lot of things that it really is the ultimate test of ego versus soul. The soul's um the soul's needs, right? Like what does the soul need and what does the ego want? And this is the ultimate human test. But yeah, the swinging back and forth on emotions. What else? being very in touch with the darker side of humanity. A lot of times, like maybe they would have experienced their mother, their early nurturing in a way where they kind of got a glance of like how dark shit can be. And yeah, it makes them grow up faster. So kind of going back to this theme, right? So it's like the Leo eighth house, right? So you have you're so Saturn rules your chart in the ninth house. Lots of ninth house Saturns. They can have a very serious approach around beliefs, right? Like there might be people who like learn a lot about truth. They have a very serious approach to finding truth. But in the first, part of their life, they might, struggle with opening up to it, right? Opening up to the different possibilities. Um, but then Saturn turn comes and they move into their nodal journey. They're like, all right, I understand that there's like all these talents I have, but that the only way I'm gonna really make something of myself is if I understand and really follow like a balanced step-by-step process to get there, right? So the more you can lean into that Capricorn Earth energy, the better, right? And that North Node and Virgo, right? Consistency, balance, all that is your best friend. But yeah, just like this real mix of lightness and darkness is so interesting, right? Because Leo eighth house is very, very rare. I mean, I haven't seen it much. And I think that for example, the Leo sun, the eighth house, I think that individual would I already said, the part about like going like have different phases in their life where they feel like they're playing an actress, where an actress is playing them, like where they really weren't themselves. Um, that's very common for people to relate to that. Um, but I think that it's really, really through your inner child play. Um, and this could even reflect in your work, right? Because your work it's Uranus ruled, right? So it's about being different. Um, I think that a lot of freedom can be found when you're just letting go. And that's the big lesson with Pluto is how can I surrender my ego and how can I just be me, you know? How can I get over any kind of like, pain or shame or whatever the fuck, right? Um, so yeah, it's not easy. So moon with Chiron is interesting too. Or I mean, what am I talking about? I meant to say moon with Pluto. I already talked about that. I was gonna say sun opposite square Chiron, but I'll talk about that later. Um, yeah, so you're just like a very resourceful person. When you really find something you're into, you can go all the way in. But then there is that sort of back and forth a lot of times with Libra and Scorpio and Pluto between wanting to please others and wanting to like make everyone else happy and being there for yourself, right? Um, that's the thing. So like what I always tell people is like when if you can find these uh these values that you can truly stick to, um and you make your decisions based off of those each time, that's the best, right? All right, so Yeah. So okay, Mercury retrograde natally. That's always so super fascinating to me. Also, one other thing before I get into that, perfectionism. As a Cap rising, um, there is a big chance for you to be someone who is hard on yourself and hard on other people. Um, and your Black Moon Lilith is in Virgo, so that speaks to that as well. So yeah, there's just a huge importance to not, to not like to really, really like find self-compassion, to really, really have mindfulness and see when you're potentially slipping into ways of thinking that are not conducive. Um, and yeah, and that's more of that earth energy. Um, let's see. But yeah, so as I was gonna go, yeah, so just like really, really remembering like the 100 or zero attitude that a lot of like that Virgo energy can have, Capricorn energy can have, it's no good, right? Because what can happen is that it's like setting yourself up for like unrealistic ideals of like, okay, if I don't get here, then I'm just gonna go 100 0. I'm just gonna completely let go. But sometimes the best you can do is an 80 out of 100 on like a certain day. Sometimes your best is at 40. Some days you need to like, you just can't do it. It's really, really, really about just doing your best and treating each day as a new chapter, right? Okay, I just want to add that in there, because that's high Virgo is mutable Earth. It's not. It's about Earth magic. Um, it's not about bringing oneself down, bringing other people down. It's really about um, finding the magic in the Earth and really bringing it to a very tangible way. If Pisces is cosmic magic, Virgo is earth magic. Anyways, okay. So with the Leo, right? So Venus and Leo 0 degrees, super interesting. Aspects are um Mercury and Sun conjunctions as part of the stellium. Um, so yeah, Venus with the Sun. Well, first of all, it's at 0 degrees. So that is kind of like the Fool's card in tarot, where um you will you're meant it's kind of that same trial and error energy that's meant to be gone through in love and relationships, where you're meant to um really really like just like karmically turn a new page, right? um and just do things a little bit differently, right? Do things a little bit differently and take risks. But like the thing about Leo Venus is like they are all about fun. Their love language is fun. Their love language is adventure. It's it's passion. It's loyalty. But then in the eighth house, because it's not like that it's unserious, but um I wouldn't call Leo and Venus like Leo and Pisces. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't go to that level like of like, oh my God, like it's like the most, romantic thing ever or anything like that. But I still think that there's something to it. Because Leo is a very misunderstood sign. It is very loyal, it is very sensitive. But the fact that it's in the eighth house kind of creates this like soulmate or nothing type energy. And the fact that it's Venus is on your sun and that it would be in your seventh house Placidus, it makes relationships very important to your life. And I would say you have to watch out for potential for codependency, where you're where there is that chance of relying too much on relationships. Now, on that topic, once again, North Node, ninth house, you are here to learn. So any kind of relationships that um push you into conditioning away from um spaciousness where you're able to feel like your own person. I say this in a lot of readings, but I believe this to be true for a lot of people based on your charts. There is that soulmate or nothing energy, like but still, like in astrology, when like I do compatibility readings, that's one of my favorite things to do. And if I don't know if you're married or anything like that, but if you ever want to book one, I'll give you a discount code. Um, one of the very interesting things is that um people people in relationships are like how do I say this? Like when you're always with someone, you're always in what's called a composite chart, which is a combined chart of two people. There's a new chart, a new energetic chart that's built, right? So, um, let's say you are single. I don't know. I'm so sorry if you're not. I'm just giving an example. Okay, let's just say that your best friend is single, right? Um, she meets someone. Hold on one second, actually. Yeah, okay. So she okay. So your best friend, she's single, she's living, in her natal chart, the chart that her karma created, that God created for her, or that aligns perfectly with where she is. That's her chart. She meets someone and they start spending every single moment together. Well, she starts to lose herself, right? And that's my opinion of why so many divorces happen, because people don't give each other enough space. I know people have different love languages. I'm very well aware that. I do masters in psychology. I do actual counseling as well. My whole menu of offerings. um, but I do believe that pretty much with any human, you're gonna get sick of them eventually, unless you have some very strict rules. At least in the modern world. And of course it's not everyone, but yeah. Um, so that's the thing, right? Is that it's very, very important for you in relationships to be able to detach and to be able to still be in Jen's vibe, whatever, to still like have your relationship. Like for example, I'm in a relationship. We don't sleep in the same bedrooms. That's my decision. I never sleep with my girlfriends, like I mean, like I believe in having my own bedroom. I believe in having my own space. I believe in spending time alone. Not all the time, but I just think that relationships should be more like not roommates, but like, you're living with a person. You should feel comfortable. You shouldn't, do things that you feel like you're just doing because of tradition. To me, that's kind of not my thing, right? So that's one thing. But love will play a huge role in your life. I'm gonna go camera on a little bit. Yeah, so love is gonna play a huge role in your life. My new football shirt, it's Brazilian. I love it. So cool. I don't know. It's just like a random passion of mine. But yeah, so love's gonna play a massive role in your life. It'll give you like a lot of charm, having this sun conjunct Venus. Um, Someone with that is very affectionate, and they're able to really see the beauty in their partner and really enjoy the company of other people. And that's also a very big thing with Libra Moon. But also they can be very easily hurt and overly idealistic about relationships and love, right? Now remember that like the moon in Libra, even with Pluto, is always seeking that peace and that harmony and that balance, right? Um, so when it plays into your love life, it's boundaries are the most important thing because Libra moons, and I've already mentioned this, right? They can really struggle with saying no because like they don't want to they don't want to ruin the party, they and a lot of times they will sacrifice themselves to make everyone feel included or to or to so yeah, the codependency can run rampant with the Leo moons. But yes, those are just some things. I can't wait to get to your Mercury retrograde because it's so fascinating and it's conjunct your sun. Um, Sun and Leo, I don't really go into sun signs. You know about your sun sign. Like, come on. It's just the fact that's in the eighth house, which it's that mixing of that sunshine. Leo's ruled by the sun, or it's Sun Leo. It's the only sign that's ruled by the sun. It's in the eighth house, so it can be a little bit more difficult. One second. It can be a little bit more difficult for like it might be in like kind of like a secret area of life that you shine in. Like for example, I'm an eighth house sun and I'm an astrologer, right? It's eighth house psychology, astrology, anything underground, anything metaphysical, anything of that nature, that is hard for people to see. Um, and your communications will take on a similar kind of, I guess, they'll be similarly similar in the fact that they'll be very profound and with a mix of fun and very right brained and potential for over analysis, especially the early part of life. But it's really about you in this lifetime because of the past life stuff, rearranging how you want to think about yourself and about the world and how you want to speak about yourself and speak about the world. Now, it is conjunct Venus, which is a great aspect, and it's conjunct the sun, but it's in a combust. So sometimes it's really important to listen to other people. I mean, Sun conjunct Venus, Mercury in general. People, their mind is very connected. Their ego, their sense of identity is very connected to their mind, so they can be sometimes overly cognitive. But like when it's combust, sometimes there can be like a lack of objectivity, like a dogmatism at times. So it's really important to just have the mantra like I know nothing. I want to hear what this person has to say. But yeah, I kind of want to go back to that Mercury retrograde in a sec. Um, because I want to kind of like talk about the love stuff. So yeah, like very fair relationship where you're not taking advantage at all. Obviously that sounds very obvious, but Libras, they need to feel safe. They need to feel like you know they're being taken care of in that sense. Like effortless energy, but then also a level of intensity because Pluto's there, right? A level of being able to go down those deep places when you need to. Now, also, you can't have someone that's throwing you off your North Node journey, right? So, another thing about the ninth house North Node is that it can involve traveling, right? And seeing different cultures, right? So, I just want to add that in there. But overall, you're here, you're really trying, like, you are coming from past lives where your fucking meaning was fucked up, and you're trying to reassemble that. You're trying to find new meaning. You're trying to really truly find it, right? So it's like you can't be around people, you can't be in places, you can't be in situations that perpetuate kind of this bullshit, this way of thinking that's not rat race kind of shit, it's not getting you anywhere. Not to say that you can't, that if you have, let's say you have a job like with an insurance company or something like that, not to say, we all got to pay the bills, but um, what you do in your free time and kind of how you manifest the other parts of your life are very important. And everything happens in karmic time, and when you're on your best path, things kind of happen. But yeah, with love, also like Mars and Gemini, like I said, sixth house, um those people love to talk and they are very good at it, and they value relationships where there's an intellectual connection, whether it's friendships or partners. And also, even more importantly, Juno, which is the asteroid that rules our ideal marriage partner, is in Gemini in the sixth house. So it would be someone, they would definitely have to have that fun, that kind of curiosity about life, that zest for life, that that I was gonna say sense of humor link. Um, that's obviously very important, but just being able to like not have to over explain yourself to someone, like I feel like that would be the worst. Where like you want someone to just get you where you don't have to just like say it, right? Yeah, he also be a very talented writer and anything to do with communications. And it opens something up. I'll look at something. I'll do that. So yeah, so that's kind of that energy. Mars and Gemini is an expert at networking, and it actually connects with your North Node journey because the Mars and Gemini is a part of you. Oh, come on, Esme. Esme, come here. Come help. It's a part of you that like wants to go out in the world and have these little like collecting the data, right? Here she is. Um, and then it's the Sagittarius part of you, the ninth house North Node. I know you don't have any Sagittarius. Um, that ties it all together, right? I know you have Neptune there, but that's not what I mean by that. Oh, she ran away. Also, Mars in the sixth house, really great for like routine and working out. Sometimes people with that like push their body too hard. I have a Mars there. I love working out, running. So yeah, just finding like the right routine that works for you is super important. Okay, what else? Series in Aries. I think that you fourth house, you feel nurtured and you nurture you feel cared for when people allow you to be independent. Um and you're very, very good at offering that to other people, right? Um so yeah. Um but like serious in areas, like if they feel caged in a relationship, like they are out. Like they even with a moon in Libra, which can be very relationship oriented, it's just not gonna work. And yeah, Sirius in fourth house, they just love their family, whether it's their family of origin or their family of like marriage, kind of like kids, family. But if you become a parent, it makes that role of that parent is like a cornerstone of your life. And it also creates like a really strong attachment to the mother and even to the childhood. And your part of fortune is down there too, right? That's like kind of the flow state, like where everything comes together. That's like this really, really benefic like place in your chart. It's not an actual planet, but it's done through calculation of the sun, moon, and ascendant. And fourth house part of fortune, it's like, for you, joy and peace and the highest energy comes when you have this deep spiritual relationship with yourself, essentially. And when you're really detached from worldly expectations and open to new opportunities. And that's same thing with power of fortune in Aries, right? When you're using your own willpower to achieve your goals, and when you're really rooted in your independence, in your boss energy, that's the best, right? Because, like I said, midheaven conjunct Uranus, so rare. Your career, your dharma is super, like, freedom is like one of the key words, right? Um, but and it's this feeling that you have something very unique to contribute to society, right? Um, my eyes are stinging from. I'm gonna turn this glare down. Hold on. What is it? Best thing to do. Yeah. Yeah. So overall. Where was I? I lost myself there. Yeah, midheaven. With Uranus, like, yeah, you have a special mission. Sometimes Uranus been having people, they don't find it till later in life. But it's really like when you've individualized, right? When you've really, really said, fuck it, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna just like be me, whatever that means. I don't care, screw it, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. I'm going my direction. That's when everything opens up, right? But if you're trying to like fill kind of like a role, because it's all about independence, right? And you know it's just massive, right? So just knowing that, I hope, is the best like awareness for you, and understanding that like you have a very like it's meant, you're meant to be rebellious, um and some people might not like you, like if you're doing something that's poking the bear in a certain way, right? But it's very linked to humanitarianism and causes that you might believe in. And yeah, just making a real contribution to society and to the world, right? Also, it could be linked to like science, like technology, Uranus, electronics, like all kinds of stuff. So, and sorry I keep doing this with my eyes. My eyes are just really glared out from my computer, and it's not like really letting me like make it better. It kind of hurts. It's not affecting the reading at all. It just kind of hurts. Okay, moving forward. Yeah, I think also midheaven, yeah, and with Uranus, it's really about rebellion, and it's really about like rebelliousness against the status quo, doing things because you want to do them, and finding a team of people that you want to do them with. And your midheaven's in Scorpio, so you want to have a deep emotional, like mad depth, like this real attachment to your dharma, right? It might even be a very spiritual dharma, um and it can be something that you become very obsessed with, right? And where you really want to have recognition for your work. So yeah. Let's see here. So Sun conjunct Jupiter, that is an amazing placement. It is kind of like far away. I mean, it's 10 degrees, but still, that just adds a lot of expansion and perspective and optimism to someone, regardless of their sun sign. Um, just like a zest for life, enthusiastic. It is a far, barely making the cut for this, but um, yeah, it definitely gives a zest for life, but I'm not gonna go too far into that one. Um, Venus and Mercury, I love that one. I always find that people with that can really put people at ease with their voice, and they're able to express themselves in a very loving and kind of gentle manner, and very welcoming. They're able to kind of like get their point across in a very diplomatic and calm way, but also strategic. And they're usually very good at the balance of listening and talking, which Leo is not the best at. But this is what's very interesting. Now we're back to your Mercury retrograde. So your Mars is in Gemini, right? So you're obviously someone who is you know, a thinker, and I would usually say a communicator, but Mercury retrograde is very unique. Only like what, like 15% of people have it or something, natally. And karmically, it comes from, so with all your karmic stuff I started with earlier, um, it's clear that, thanks, stop cheating. It's clear that like there was some faultiness in your approach to life, right? In your approach to like what is truth, right? In your approach to what is correct. What is like I always say Mercury retrograde people, it's either that they underspoke or they overspoke, or they, there's something there, right? Felix, no, stop drinking that. No, Felix. And that they're meant to spend like the first 25-30 years of this life kind of analyzing how they want to come across in communication. A lot of times they're very um like not self-critical as much. They're just very like I'm forgetting English every day. Brain fart. Hold on. And full disclosure, this is nicotine, citrus flavor. It's my guilty pleasure. I apologize. I don't apologize, but I'm just honest. Okay. Um, yeah. So basically, like, yeah, the Mercury retrograde people, like, they are people who are meant, yeah, they're really meant to look deep inside themselves, and they can sometimes have like a very deep inner dialogue with themselves going, and it's just so interesting because when I was learning about this, one thing that really stood out to me was that there can be a projection, right? Like they can like, let's say that like you incarnated with your sister, if you have one in this lifetime. Last lifetime you guys were mother and daughter. You might be speaking to her as that past life version of her. When I read that, I was shocked because it aligns so much with my experience and with experience of clients and just my professional experience. But it's really right brain, right? So like the subconscious is stronger than the conscious mind, right? Um, and there is that tendency to like, yeah, go over events over and over and over and ruminate. So it's really about leaning into your Leo, which is also creativity, your right brain, and really finding creative outlets for yourself. sometimes people with Mercury retrograde, they have trouble like in the schooling system because it's so like Capricornian, and they're better, at more creative outlets, right? Lots of musicians have it, but it makes one very, very good at like being able to like, and this goes to your Neptune, the 12th house too. Like to tap into the collective unconscious and um, really, really, it's just very fascinating. So yeah, really, really good on like picking up on like nonverbal communication, anything, like anything artistic. It's really like the outlet, right? So in relationships, you have to watch out for that because you can, potentially react to someone, uh, in a way that's not, that's Neptunian, where there's like a level of fog around it. But it's in the eighth house, so you you're someone who wants to go really, really deep with everything, right? And then it's in Leo, so it is in Leo, so there is that enthusiasm, right? And someone who likes to like who has fun learning. That's what I love about Mercury and Leo. Sometimes it can be a little bit know-it-alls, but I think the retrograde is probably different in that case. Um, and yeah, it's just really like eighth house, just like really, really, really. I have it there too. It's really about getting deep and and really finding the truth and the real deep stuff, the meaning of life, all that stuff. Okay. So then having Jupiter and Leo is a fun one. I love that. Jupiter and Leo people love children. It's in the eighth house too, so that's a great placement for like a psychologist or someone who's just so good at probing into the mind and just understanding other people where they're coming from. And with your sun opposite Chiron, there could have been some misunderstanding early on, like childhood wound. Usually it's around the father if it's the son. Um, that could have like hurt your confidence. So that's kind of part of the life journey too, is like finding that, not going towards the low Pisces escapism. Um, let's turn my eyes again. Um, but like the wound itself, right? A lot of times, yeah, it is feeling misunderstood or something like that. Not, yeah, or some type of wound, some type of trauma potentially. But that's like your gift, right? And it gives you all this empathy for other people. And yeah, so with Jupiter also, let's see. Yeah, like Jupiter square Chiron is someone who just like really wants to like go and find the meaning of life. They want to go deep and um, they just really want to dive into esoteric and it's usually kind of an unconventional way that they find truth, their truth. They're truth seekers. And back to like the Jupiter and Leo, that's someone who is, it's like Jupiter in the eighth house is like I always call it like a lantern. It's like having like in the dark, like the taboo kind of like death, life after death, anything metaphysical, like anything taboo sexual. It's also very good for inheritances too, and benefiting from other people's money. And having Venus and Jupiter in the eighth is amazing for that. um Not in a gold digger type way, just like in a way of like, a lot of times people who have that, like, they're not, their main karma is not meant to be around money a lot of times. But yeah, so it's like having this like flashlight or lantern in these areas of life that are very, very deep and very profound and that a lot of people are very afraid of. And in Leo, it's just this really fun loving, gregarious energy, that's infectious. And usually people with Jupiter and Leo are quite, like, yeah, very, very generous, and they're always searching for like this creative expression. yeah, they really benefit a lot from children, for being around children. And I've met a lot who are teachers and school teachers who like to be around kids, or they just benefit a lot from kids. So that's that. Vertex and Leo, it's kind of like basically just kind of like a cherry on top, saying that like it's through in eighth house, it's through these kind of darker experiences, but also like finding the light on top of them. And finding the things that really light your fire, the creative outlets, whatever they are, right? Those are the things that really get you going, right? That's your quote unquote doorway to higher awareness, is through fun, through letting go, right? And flowing, which sometimes for Capricorn rising can be a little bit difficult, right? So continuing on, I talked about Mars and Gemini. I just have to say that like people with Mars and Gemini are fascinating. They are, yeah, like I said, like their words are their weapons. They're very good debates. Sometimes there can be like because Gemini rules the hands, there can be like a nervous energy. So like playing something like guitar or doing like video games or something with the hands, like channeling something through your hands, Reiki, whatever it is, can be very, very beneficial. Um, but it makes someone very, very adaptable, and someone who can actually thrive on change, and who can like really multitask, right? Who is able to like do this, do this, do that. But the key is to not be too scattered, right? Because your North Node's in the ninth house. So you're really trying to have these like grand philosophies, your grand truths, and then having your dharma, your life, your mission based off of that. So it's really important to like focus the energy, and have that mindfulness around when there can be some scatteredness. I swear I'm not tired. I just this glare. I don't know. I took my computer in today. It's working good, but like I don't know what's happening with the lights. Um Also Mars and Gemini, like in love, I was saying earlier, like they get bored easily. So um a lot of times they need like that kind of like fresh change of pace. They need to like switch things up sometimes. So in relationships, it's really important to have that, right? To not, they are powerhouses when, in many, many ways, right? And they just need to like boredom is their greatest kind of fear, right? Boredom and things staying the same and all that stuff. Um, so yeah, then Chiron the fifth. So this is interesting because this actually speaks to a wound around the inner child. I know it would be in the fourth and it's on the IC, so that could speak to like early childhood wounding, right? Because it's on the IC in Plastis. Um, so a lot of times when I see Chiron in Taurus, I think of like um you know, self-esteem issues early on, especially when it's, squaring your sun, and just like really, really like yoga and doing things that are like more like with the body, like learning to see yourself as beautiful, and to trust your kind of like things are very psychosomatic, right? Like learning to like really rely on your own body, your own experiences, and also boundaries, right? um because yeah, there can be like a lack of self-worth, and sometimes people with that they'll overcompensate with like the low Taurus stuff, which is like money and stuff like that. So um it's really about like finding like a true set of values that you can judge, make all your life decisions based off of that, right? And that comes from introspection. But yeah, Chiron on the IC, yeah, like I said, that oftentimes speaks to like, just not having like the easiest chat, early family life, where you didn't really feel like your true self was like really supported, and understood. Usually, like I said, with the father, but it can. it can depend on the parent. Um, I think of it more as just like the early nurturing, and people with that can have like it's really important because like with your Uranus in the 11th house, you're meant to have like very eccentric friends and like be parts of groups of people who are really taking you away from like any kind of conditioning and really opening your eyes to the reality. Esme, you want to help now? Okay. So just it goes back to boundaries too. If there is something like really bad with a parent, like or someone in the family, like just being able to like have those boundaries, right? Um, yeah. So like any study, the occult, the esoteric, anything that gets you deeper in your awareness is the best thing. But in the fifth house and whole signs, that would reflect a difficulty in that Leo energy, in that just letting go and having fun, right? So, but then Vesta there would speak to someone who, you know, on one hand, like works really hard at trying to kind of make what they do for fun their work. And it's on your Chiron. So maybe you're someone who is working as a healer of some type, Um, and let's see the Esme. Esme, you do your thing. Look at the part of the chart that I'm supposed to look at. Oh, she stared right at that eighth house. Interesting, Esme. Interesting. So yeah, she's just really really like calling out the light in your chart and that Mercury retrograde and just like how it's not going to be like a playbook. You're not meant to follow someone else's playbook. You're really meant to follow your own. Um, because remember, like the whole thing with loss of meaning in past lives, like you have all these energies, this Leo, because you're trying to find your authentic self. Okay, moving forward, Pluto in the 10th, just by itself, is someone who is a leader. Um, they are someone who let me think of it on a different level. There can be some kind of like fears around, maybe even traumas around putting yourself out there publicly. Okay, you've done your job, isn't good job. Um, so it's like overcoming that, and then there's just like this massive you know, potential, right? To really be someone who is because even like the 10th house moon, it gives you like a deep emotional connection to, and of course it would be, ninth house Placidus. So it's like, regardless of how you flip it, it's like it's either like, this deep connection to your mission, but also to finding truth, right? And you could be someone who like on like a, maybe doesn't feel like so at home with your where you're from, and there can be these karmic places around the world that you feel very called to. And I think the third house south node sometimes struggles to take those risks to travel. Esmond, no. That Esmond, she's pushed on the crystal. Esmond. I'm trying to make her ball. Esmond. Look. Esmond. 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 Just ignoring me. Esmond. Look. Esmond. Okay, she saw. Yeah. So okay. So definitely could see you use a healer, someone who has like healed their own wounds, and then they're able to help other people. Um, just the whole thing about like, also Palace in Aquarius, that can make someone, very, very ahead of their time in their thinking, thinking outside the box, very inventive, brilliant kind of mind, someone who can grasp new ideas very quickly, very future oriented, humanitarian, all that stuff. And Yeah, like I think that it is also good for like being very creative when it comes to like schemes for like making money and career stuff. So that's cool. Um and yeah, just someone who like kind of like thinks outside the box in terms of like their overall planning and just like like how they kind of manage their their overall moves. Okay, Neptune and 12th we talked about. Like the biggest thing there is about like understanding that the need for alone time. There can be like even if you're like the best healer in the world, there's a need for that spiritual protection because there can be like this feeling of like being overwhelmed by like the undercurrents of the world, and there can be that potential for like escapism, but super super compassionate, right? Excuse my spitting. um let's see here. And yeah, cap risings are interesting, right? Because um like they they're seen, like I always say, like if there's like four people in a job interview, they all are exactly the same in terms of like qualifications. Everything's exactly the same. The cap rising will get the job because they put out that, and a lot of times they have to grow up, early and take on early responsibilities. Um but they're able to like once they do find that thing that Leo, that fire, because you have that fire. So fire is like what really like gives you you're able to find passions easily. You're able to kind of follow through and stay organized with it, which is really awesome. um let's see here. So yeah, lots of hard work and persistence, and after 30, after Saturn return, everything gets a lot easier, right? Okay, talked about that, talked about that, talked about that, talked about that. And yeah, just like making sure you're not dogmatic in your philosophies, and that you're always like listening, even if you don't think someone has like value that they can bring you, just like being curious about like, I wonder why this person thinks like that, and just like being open to like listening to different perspectives is really important. Okay, let me open this up. I I break. um okay, so Vega is right there, but what is this one? Okay. What's this? Bar. So yeah, I mean, like there could be some level of like trauma. Um, I kind of mentioned this already, but then like with you and kind of how like I guess like how you project yourself into the world. Um, Quar. Hold on, let me open something up. I want to see one other thing too. Oh yeah, okay. So important. I'm saying this. So with the Neptune in 12th house, you have to watch out for undeserved guilt and taking on like negative emotions that aren't yours, whether it's from your family or people around you, friends. Um, like it's just like the importance of spiritual protection is so massive. Um, because one, like I said earlier, can and the moon just turned to Scorpio. Awesome. Not um they can sometimes take on things that aren't theirs, and it's just really important to know that. And I didn't even check something very important. Well, I always wait till the end to look to see if there's any notes. So I like to see if I answer them without even knowing. So, yeah, you'll have two readings for me. I'm curious, how different they will be. Why is it not showing me this? Okay, here we are. Here we are. Okay. Yeah, okay, cool. Just making sure. So yeah, um, lots of life purpose stuff here, lots of big picture stuff. Okay, so yeah, Neptune 12th house adults, okay, say, yeah, just like dream journaling would be amazing, your meditations would be amazing. Sometimes, it's just really important to, like, with boundaries, because the people with that can feel like their boundaries have been, like, what's the word, like, kind of like overrun. So it just brings that up even more. Um, but also like substances, addiction to substances is one thing that definitely is big there. Of course, there's no Mars connection, which would make it way more difficult. But just like, yeah, just escapism and kind of like being your own world. But like having so much Leo, I think in the eighth house is very, very curious. And did you get the follow up? Let me see. Yeah, and I think about like a healer with a 12th house Neptune. It's like think about like a surgeon. Like a surgeon has to be like cold blooded, Like a surgeon can't freak out when he's doing his or her operation, right? Because that's kind of the same thing with like a healer, right? They have to you have to be able to kind of just see everything as a part of the whole. Let's see. Okay, so keep forgetting that you already have that. So there's lots of creative potential, connection with the divine, um, like spirituality, creativity that, on your midheaven, that's massive. So I think that's pretty cool. And I think that like there's this urge to kind of escape the mundane and pursue like a career that, like I was saying before, that doesn't like it's not like everyone else. And yeah, like going back to your North Node journey, it's about like really kind of like putting the big kid's pants on, per se, and taking that responsibility and achieving, that achieving greatness. Like I don't want to say on your own, but like not relying on other people, and not relying on, and being very, very like understanding the difference between intuition and imagination, Um, and yeah, you know, a lot of times Quar, midheaven, the career can be like very related to something artistic or creative, so it's cool. Me too. Okay, yeah, and then Alpheka. Ooh, I didn't even realize that you have a Spica moon. How far? Like, yeah, 1 degree. So Spica is one of the best stars in the whole sky. Oh, Amor on Mars is beautiful. So that Amor is like this asteroid about unconditional love. So with whether it's partners or just humanity as a whole, you have this like real like unconditional love. It's very, very beautiful. Um, and I think like as a healer or just like in relationships, I think that's just a beautiful thing to have because you already have like the Venus that allows you to kind of see the beauty in um, you know, in others and partners and stuff. Okay, so let me pull some of these up. Of course, you have Vega. How close is it? It's yeah, it's within like half a degree. Like if you saw what I was staring at, you'd be like, how the fuck do you know what is what? Um, yeah, and then of course Spica. So okay, so last stars, and then we'll be done. And you can watch this as many times as you want, and then schedule that current. So Spica. Also, I see things in your chart that like are very like linked to potentially like astrology. You know, it could be astrology, human design. I teach astrology also, just so you know. I do packages. I only take very motivated people, but that's something that could really, really benefit you. Like really understand that. I had like an old Indian holy lady who said that astrology is the most worthy study. She's like in all the retreats in the Himalayas, super like amazing, like angel woman, and she said it's the most worthy study in the world, and I agree. Um, so speak as you're writing. Um, I, did I turn my darkest night? I can't even see. I like so okay, Moon with Spica can bring like uh gain through inventions and kind of thinking outside the box, like with your own mind, even yeah, like it's good for wealth. It's one of the best stars. It's very yeah, it's very, very worldly. Um, where's my book? No. Yeah, lots of honors, potential fame, very good for scientists, writers, artists, painters, sculptors, musicians. Um, yeah, it's refinement. That's the word, right? Very refined, very noble, very, very classy. Um, Yeah, lots of inventors. Very intelligent people who kind of have like grasp on so many different things. Yeah. Um, yeah, just like a very kind of like illustrious life usually with Spica. Spica, like it's one of the five best stars in astrology. And you have Alphecca also. That one was on your um midheaven, right? Yeah, it's close to your midheaven. It's not smack on there, but that's another very nice one. That gives lots of resources and let's see what it says in this book. It's really hard to find information on these stars. Yeah, so it's Alphecca slash Gemma. It's a jewel of the Northern Crown. Um, I know it has like a lot of like really good, like it's very good for like relationships with women. Um, yeah, success in trade and commerce. Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely a go-getter success one for sure. So you have a lot of that there. And then Rookbot was also rising. It's hard to find information on Rookbot. And Vega, of course. We finished Vega because it's right on your ascendant. Um, so yeah, Rookbot is all about wealth. So it's like, people who have that rising a lot of times they are good with money. Um, and they yeah, I mean there can be inheritances, legacies, potential fame, uh, prosperity from youth, stuff like that. So then Vega, we'll finish with Vega. Um, is Mika is up there. I'm gonna see those new kittens in a sec. Um, so Vega, which is very close to your ascendant. I've noticed it right away when I open your chart. Um, so let's see. So there's a link to like, you know, being respected, um, being kind of like someone who is Mars at that degree? No. Um yeah, so it's another one that's like about high success. You have a lot of these, and you can go watch my different readings I post. Like I don't like there's not usually that many of these stars that are about like success. I only do like one, maximum two degree conjunctions, right? It can be politicians, statesmen, like influential people, and it can actually bring fame. And like a very like eloquent, kind of creative, insightful, also like good with music, usually self-taught in the things that they're passionate about, very skillful, and very good at reasoning, right? It's kind of like a good business one. um Able to kind of like keep their cool, generous, all that stuff. Okay. Let's pull this back. So overall, let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. So yeah, and then Mercury square best, so that can kind of create like such a quench for, or quench, such a thirst for knowledge that it's almost hard to I guess quench that thirst. And it kind of goes back to like being very, very like interested in studying very sacred things. Astrology would be one of them. And just like it goes back to this whole theme of you having like I don't want to say very unique talents, and it takes a lot of trial and error, and it's just that balance between um trying a lot of things but not like being scattered. So some people with this, like, they can, especially when they're younger, they can kind of like struggle to find what that thing is, and how to really express themselves in the best way. But expressing ideas gets a lot easier in time. And this goes back to your Mercury retrograde, right? Which can be a little bit confusing for some people, right? Because like the filter through which you see reality, and like I connect. I'm like a Pisces Mercury, right? So it's like I get it, but it's very abstract and kind of different. So, anyways, what a pleasure. I'm happy that I was able to not. Oh my god, I went over 2 hours. Holy shit. Oh la la. But yeah, I'm very happy that. And let me do one more mic check. Imagine if this whole thing was screwed up. I would just like quit astrology. Test, 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 test. Oh, it sounds good. Yeah, so I'm very happy that I was able to like go through my list the other night and see like why is this not bold. So look forward, take your time, let me know when you want to do the current. I look forward to it. If you want to add anything, astrocartography, you ever want to learn astrology, I don't really talk about like all the services. I should probably do like a post of like what I offer, because not that many people know that I do one-on-one astrology classes and packages, all levels. It's really, really fun. So thank you so much. I appreciate you a lot. And I hope this finds you well. Ciao.